I need to tell you something that might hurt at first, but will set you free forever. You've been playing a character your entire life, a character designed to be liked, to be accepted, to be safe, but that character isn't you. And the love you've been receiving, it isn't really for you either. It's time to fire that character and introduce the world to who you actually are. From the moment you could understand words, you were told that being nice would get you love. Be kind, be helpful, be agreeable, put others first. And somehow, magically, love would find its way to you. But here you are, perhaps decades later, and you've discovered something that nobody prepared you for. Nice isn't enough. You can hold doors, you can remember birthdays, you can say please and thank you, you can avoid conflict at all costs, you can bend over backwards to make others comfortable, and still feel empty, still feel unseen, still wonder why the love you give so freely never seems to come back to you in the way your soul craves. Let me share something with you that might change everything. Something that took me years to understand. Something that, once you truly grasp it, will transform not just how you love, but how you allow yourself to be loved. Being nice is not the same as being authentic. And love doesn't flow toward niceness. Love flows toward truth. Love flows toward realness. Love flows toward the person who has the courage to be genuinely themselves, even when it's uncomfortable. You see, when you focus only on being nice, you create what I call the pleasant prison. You become so concerned with not disrupting anyone's comfort that you lose touch with your own inner voice. You become so focused on what others want from you that you forget what you want from life. And here's what happens in that prison. You start to disappear. Not physically, but energetically, spiritually. The real you begins to fade behind a mask of perpetual agreeableness. And people sense this. They might appreciate your niceness. They might even depend on it, but they don't fall in love with it because there's nothing there to fall in love with. Think about the people you've been most drawn to in your life. I'm willing to bet they weren't just nice. They had opinions, they had boundaries, they had a spark of something that felt real and unfiltered. They had presence, and presence doesn't come from being nice. Presence comes from being present, present to yourself, present to your own feelings, your own needs, your own truth. But you've been taught to ignore all of that. You've been conditioned to believe that your job is to make everyone else comfortable, even at the expense of your own comfort, even at the expense of your own soul. This is where the real danger begins. When you make your worth dependent on how pleasant you can be to others, you start living your life in reaction mode. Someone else's mood determines your mood. Someone else's approval determines your self-worth. Someone else's comfort becomes more important than your own authenticity. And slowly, gradually, without even realizing it's happening, you begin to resent the very people you're trying so hard to please. You resent them because they're getting the real you, but you're not getting the real them. You're giving from a place of depletion, hoping that your sacrifice will somehow earn their love. But it doesn't work that way. Love isn't earned through sacrifice. Love is recognized through authenticity. Here's something that might shock you. The people who truly love you want to see your boundaries. They want to know where you stand. They want to experience the real you, not the pleasant version of you that agrees with everything and never causes waves. Because when someone loves the nice version of you, they're not really loving you at all. They're loving their own comfort. They're loving how easy you make their life. But they're not connecting with your essence, your spirit, your truth. And deep down, you know this. That's why the compliments about how nice you are feel hollow. That's why being called sweet or agreeable doesn't fill you up the way it should. Because part of you recognizes that they're praising your performance, not your person. Let me tell you what I've observed in my years of working with people struggling in relationships. The ones who get the deepest, most fulfilling love aren't the nicest people. They're the most genuine people. They're the ones who will say, I need some time to myself right now. They're the ones who will express when something doesn't feel right to them. They're the ones who will share their dreams, even if those dreams are inconvenient for others. They're the ones who understand that love requires two whole people, not one person trying to be half of themselves to avoid any possibility of conflict. But you've been afraid of conflict. You've been afraid that if you show your real feelings, your real opinions, your real needs, people will leave. And here's the profound irony. By trying so hard to prevent people from leaving, you ensure that they never really arrive. They never get to meet the real you. They never get the chance to love the real you, because the real you is hidden behind a wall of niceness that's actually a wall of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough. So you make yourself smaller. You make yourself more palatable. You edit yourself in real time, constantly monitoring whether you're being too much, too loud, too opinionated, too needy. But here's what you need to understand. When you make yourself smaller to fit into someone else's comfort zone, you're not creating love. You're creating codependency. Real love doesn't require you to shrink. Real love sees you fully and says yes to all of it. The messy parts, the complicated parts, the parts that have needs and desires and boundaries. Real love isn't attracted to perfection. It's attracted to truth. And the truth is, you have a right to take up space. You have a right to have preferences. You have a right to sometimes say no. You have a right to be human instead of trying to be a saint. Let me share something with you about boundaries, because this is where most nice people get confused. They think boundaries are mean. They think boundaries will push people away. But boundaries aren't walls designed to keep people out. Boundaries are bridges designed to let the right people in. When you have no boundaries, you're sending a message to the world that your needs don't matter, and people believe you. They treat you as if your needs don't matter because you've taught them that they don't. But when you have healthy boundaries, when you communicate your needs clearly and kindly, you're sending a different message. You're saying, I value myself enough to ask for what I need, and I respect you enough to tell you the truth about what works for me and what doesn't. This creates safety. Not the false safety of avoiding all conflict, but the real safety of knowing where you stand with each other. And in that safety, love can grow. But you have to be willing to risk the temporary discomfort of asserting yourself for the long-term joy of being truly known. You have to be willing to disappoint some people in order to stop disappointing yourself. You have to be willing to lose the love that was never really yours anyway, the love that was conditional on your continued self-abandonment. This is scary. I understand that. For years, your niceness has been your survival strategy. It's how you've tried to control other people's reactions to you. It's how you've tried to guarantee that you won't be rejected. But control is the opposite of love, and when you try to control how others see you by being perpetually nice, you rob them of the opportunity to choose you freely. Think about it this way. If someone only knows the edited version of you, the version that never disagrees, never has bad days, never has complex emotions, then their love isn't really for you. It's for your performance. And you know this. That's why their love doesn't feel satisfying. That's why you feel lonely, even when you're surrounded by people who think you're wonderful. Because they don't know you. They know your representative. They know the character you play to keep them comfortable. But your soul knows the difference. Your soul knows when it's being seen and when it's being overlooked. Your soul knows when it's being loved and when it's being managed. And your soul is calling for something different. It's calling for the courage to be real. This doesn't mean being rude. This doesn't mean being inconsiderate. This doesn't mean abandoning kindness or compassion. It means expanding your definition of kindness to include kindness toward yourself. It means understanding that authenticity is actually the highest form of respect you can show another person, because it gives them the chance to make an informed choice about whether they want to be in relationship with you. When you're authentic, you might lose some people, but you'll keep the right people. And the love you receive from the right people will nourish you in ways you never imagined possible. Because it will be love for the real you. Not love for your usefulness. Not love for your agreeableness. Not love for how easy you make other people's lives. Love for your essence. Love for your truth. Love for the beautiful, complicated, imperfect human being that you actually are. But to receive this love, you have to be willing to show up as this human being. You have to be willing to say, this is who I am, this is what I need, this is what I believe, this is what matters to me. And you have to be willing to trust that the right people will say, thank you for sharing yourself with me. Thank you for giving me the chance to love the real you. Here's what I want you to understand about self-love. It's not selfish. It's not narcissistic. Self-love is the foundation that makes genuine love for others possible. When you don't love yourself, when you don't value yourself, you become a bottomless pit of need. You look to others to fill you up, to validate you, to make you feel worthy. But no one can do that for you. No amount of external love can compensate for the love you refuse to give yourself. And when you're trying to get from others what you won't give to yourself, you become manipulative without even realizing it. Your niceness becomes a transaction. You're nice because you're hoping to get something back. But love isn't a transaction. Love is a gift, and you can only give what you have. If you don't have love for yourself, what you're giving others isn't really love. It's need dressed up as love. It's desperation wearing the mask of kindness. People sense this. They might not be able to articulate it, but they feel the weight of your unmet needs beneath your pleasant exterior. They feel the pressure of being responsible for your emotional well-being. And that pressure pushes them away, even if they can't explain why. But when you love yourself, when you take responsibility for your own emotional needs, when you stop looking to others to complete you, something magical happens. You become genuinely generous. Your kindness comes from overflow instead of depletion. Your love becomes a gift instead of a demand. And people are naturally drawn to that energy. They're drawn to someone who is whole, who is complete in themselves, who chooses to share their life rather than needing others to validate their existence. This is the paradox of love. The less you need it, the more you attract it. The more you're willing to risk losing it, the more likely you are to find it. Because when you're not desperately grasping for love, you can see it clearly. You can recognize it when it's real and dismiss it when it's not. You can receive it without losing yourself in it. You can love without abandoning yourself. Let me tell you something about the people who will try to convince you that your niceness is enough. There are people in your life right now who benefit from your self-abandonment. There are people who like the version of you that never makes demands, never has needs, never challenges them. These people will resist your growth. They'll tell you you're changing. They'll tell you you're becoming difficult. They'll try to shame you back into your old patterns because your growth threatens their comfort. Your authenticity highlights their own lack of authenticity. Your boundaries force them to examine their own behavior, and some of them won't be able to handle that. Some of them will choose to leave rather than evolve with you. Let them. This is not a loss. This is a graduation. You're graduating from relationships based on your usefulness to relationships based on mutual respect and genuine connection. You're graduating from being loved for what you do to being loved for who you are. But graduation requires letting go of what no longer serves you, even if it once felt safe. Your niceness felt safe because it was predictable. You knew that if you just kept everyone happy, you could avoid conflict, avoid rejection, avoid the messy complications of being human. But safety isn't the same as aliveness, and aliveness requires risk. It requires the risk of being misunderstood, the risk of being rejected, the risk of discovering that some people were only with you because of what you did for them, not because of who you were. But it also offers the possibility of being truly seen, the possibility of being loved for your essence, the possibility of connection that feeds your soul instead of depleting it. Here's what I want you to know about your worth. You are not worth loving because you're nice. You're worth loving because you exist. Your worth isn't contingent on your behavior. Your worth isn't dependent on your usefulness to others. Your worth isn't determined by how few waves you make or how little space you take up. You are inherently valuable. You are inherently deserving of love, not because of what you do, but because of what you are. You are a unique expression of consciousness. You are here for a reason. You have gifts to give that no one else can give. You have a perspective that no one else has. You have love to offer that is distinctly yours. But you can't give those gifts while you're hiding behind a mask of niceness. You can't share your unique perspective while you're agreeing with everyone else. You can't offer your distinctive love while you're trying to love the way you think you should instead of the way that's natural to you. The world needs your authenticity. The world needs your truth. The world needs the real you, not the nice you. And the people who are meant to be in your life need your realness too. They need to know who you actually are so they can love you properly. They need to understand your boundaries so they can respect them. They need to see your humanity so they can connect with it. When you hide behind niceness, you rob them of the opportunity to truly know you. And you rob yourself of the opportunity to be truly known. Being known is what your soul craves. Not being liked, not being approved of, but being seen, understood, and accepted for exactly who you are. This kind of knowing requires courage. The courage to be vulnerable, the courage to be imperfect, The courage to be real, even when real doesn't feel safe. But this courage is the bridge to the love you've been seeking all along. Not the shallow appreciation for your niceness, not the grateful acknowledgement of your usefulness, but the deep soul-level recognition of your worth as a human being. This love exists. It's available to you. But you have to be willing to show up for it authentically. You have to be willing to say, this is me, this is who I really am, take it or leave it, and trust that the right people will take it, all of it, gladly. They'll take your sensitivity and your strength, they'll take your fears and your dreams, they'll take your needs and your boundaries, they'll take your questions and your convictions. They'll take the whole real, authentic you and say, yes, this is exactly who I want to love. But first you have to stop hiding behind niceness and start showing up as yourself. You have to stop editing yourself to fit into other people's comfort zones and start creating space for your own truth. You have to stop being afraid of taking up space and start claiming your rightful place in this world. Because you belong here, not as a background player whose only job is to make others comfortable, but as a full participant in life, with your own voice, your own needs, your own dreams, your own boundaries. You belong here as yourself, not as the nice version of yourself, not as the edited version of yourself, not as the version of yourself that never causes any inconvenience, but as the real, whole, authentic version of yourself. That's who deserves love. That's who is capable of receiving love. That's who the world is waiting to meet. So stop hiding, stop performing, stop trying to earn love through niceness. Start being yourself. Start speaking your truth. Start honoring your needs. Start showing up as the magnificent, complex, imperfect, beautiful human being that you actually are. Because that's who love is looking for. Not the person you think you should be, but the person you actually are. And when you have the courage to be that person, when you stop trying to control how others see you and start focusing on how you see yourself, when you stop abandoning yourself for others and start showing up for yourself first, something extraordinary happens. You don't just find love, you become love. You become the very thing you've been searching for outside yourself. And from that place of wholeness, from that place of self-acceptance, from that place of authentic self-expression, you attract not just any love, but the right love. The love that sees you completely and chooses you anyway. The love that celebrates your authenticity instead of trying to change it. The love that makes you feel more like yourself, not less. This is the love that your soul has been calling for all along. This is the love that makes all the risk of being real worth it. But let me tell you something else that's crucial. The journey from niceness to authenticity isn't a straight line. It's not something you decide to do on Monday and master by Friday. It's a daily practice, a moment-by-moment choice, a continuous unfolding. There will be days when you slip back into old patterns, days when the fear feels stronger than your courage, days when being nice feels easier than being real. And that's okay. That's human. That's part of the process. What matters is that you keep coming back to yourself, that you keep choosing authenticity over approval, that you keep honoring your truth even when it's uncomfortable. Because every time you choose yourself, you're sending a message to the universe. You're saying, I matter, my truth matters, my needs matter. And the universe responds to that message. It sends you people who value authenticity. It creates opportunities for genuine connection. It opens doors that were closed when you were hiding behind niceness. But here's something I need you to understand. This work isn't just about romantic relationships. It's about every relationship in your life. It's about your friendships, your family relationships, your professional relationships, your relationship with yourself. When you start showing up authentically in one area of your life, it ripples out into every other area. Because you can't be real in isolation. Authenticity is a way of being, not a strategy for specific situations. And as you begin to live more authentically, you'll notice something interesting happening. The quality of all your relationships will begin to change. Some will deepen. People who were drawn to your niceness but stayed for your realness will move closer. They'll appreciate your honesty. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll love you more fully because they know you more completely. Others will drift away. And this might hurt at first, but You might question whether you're doing the right thing. You might wonder if authenticity is worth the loss, but what you're actually losing aren't real relationships. They were transactions disguised as connections. They were based on what you could do for others, not on who you are as a person. And while it might feel lonely initially, you're creating space for something much better. You're making room for people who want to know the real you, people who appreciate your complexity, people who love you not despite your humanity, but because of it. Here's what I want you to understand about loneliness. There are two kinds. There's the loneliness of being alone, and there's the loneliness of being unknown while surrounded by people. The second kind is far more painful. It's the loneliness you've been carrying while trying to be everything to everyone. It's the loneliness of having 100 acquaintances but no one who really knows your heart. When you choose authenticity, you might experience the first kind of loneliness temporarily, but you'll never have to experience the second kind again. Because even if you're alone, you'll be with someone who knows you completely. You'll be with yourself. And from that place of self-companionship, from that place of self-acceptance, you'll attract others who can truly see you, others who can truly love you, others who can truly connect with you. Let me share something with you about the fear that's probably rising in you right now. The fear that if you stop being nice, if you start being real, you'll hurt people. This fear is based on a fundamental misunderstanding about what it means to be authentic. Being authentic doesn't mean being cruel. It doesn't mean saying every thought that crosses your mind. It doesn't mean disregarding other people's feelings. Being authentic means speaking your truth with kindness. It means expressing your needs with respect. It means setting boundaries with love. You can be real without being harsh. You can be honest without being hurtful. You can be yourself without being selfish. In fact, authenticity done well is one of the most loving things you can do for another person, because it gives them the gift of knowing where they stand with you. It gives them the opportunity to make informed choices about the relationship. When you're authentic, you're not trying to manipulate or control. You're simply offering your truth and allowing others to respond from their truth. This creates the possibility for genuine intimacy. Not the false intimacy of two people trying to please each other, but the real intimacy of two people being themselves with each other. And this kind of intimacy is what your soul has been craving. This is what you've been searching for beneath all the niceness and people-pleasing. You've been looking for someone who can see through your performance to your essence. Someone who can love your shadows as well as your light. Someone who can hold space for all of you, not just the easy parts. But for someone to see your essence, you have to stop hiding it behind a mask of perpetual agreeableness. For someone to love your shadows, you have to stop pretending you don't have any. For someone to hold space for all of you, you have to stop fragmenting yourself to fit into other people's expectations. This requires what I call radical self-acceptance. The willingness to embrace every part of yourself. The parts you're proud of and the parts you'd rather hide. The parts that feel noble and the parts that feel petty. The parts that are easy to love and the parts that challenge you. Because here's the truth, you are not just light. You are not just goodness. You are not just niceness. You are a complete human being. And complete human beings have the full range of human experiences and emotions. You have anger, you have sadness, you have fear, you have jealousy, you have needs, you have desires, you have opinions, you have preferences. And all of these are valid. All of these are part of your humanity. All of these deserve to be acknowledged, if not always expressed. When you try to be only nice, you're rejecting parts of yourself. You're saying that some of your feelings are acceptable and others are not. You're creating internal shame and conflict, and this internal conflict shows up in your relationships. It shows up as passive aggression. It shows up as resentment. It shows up as a sense of being misunderstood. But when you embrace your full humanity, when you accept all parts of yourself, you become integrated, you become whole, you become someone who can love others without losing yourself. Because you're not giving from depletion anymore. You're not trying to get others to accept the parts of yourself that you've rejected. You're not looking for external validation to heal internal wounds. You're complete. And from that completeness, you can offer genuine love. Love that doesn't have hidden agendas. Love that doesn't come with strings attached. Love that doesn't require anything in return to be given freely. This is the love that transforms both the giver and the receiver. This is the love that creates lasting bonds. This is the love that fulfills the deepest longings of the human heart. But you can't give this kind of love while you're pretending to be someone you're not. You can't offer genuine connection while you're wearing a mask. You can't create authentic intimacy while you're hiding your truth. The mask has to come off. The performance has to end. The real you has to step forward. And yes, this is scary. Yes, this feels vulnerable. Yes, this requires courage. But the alternative is to spend your entire life being appreciated for someone you're not, while the person you actually are remains unknown and unloved. Is that really how you want to live? Is that really the legacy you want to leave? Is that really the love story you want to tell? Or do you want to live boldly? Do you want to love authentically? Do you want to be known for who you actually are? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. And it's available to you right now, in this moment. You can choose to keep hiding behind niceness, hoping that somehow, someday, someone will see through your performance and love the real you. Or you can choose to step out from behind the mask and say, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I offer, this is what I need, this is how I love, and trust that the right people will respond with, thank you for trusting me with your truth. Thank you for giving me the chance to love the real you, because that's what love actually island. It's not admiration for perfection. It's not gratitude for convenience. It's not appreciation for niceness. Love is the recognition of one soul by another. It's the celebration of someone's essence. It's the choice to embrace another person's humanity completely. And that kind of love is waiting for you. It's been waiting for you all along, but it can't find you while you're hiding. It can't recognize you while you're wearing a disguise. It can't embrace you while you're keeping your distance. You have to show up. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be real. You have to trust that your authentic self is not only worthy of love, but is the only version of you that can truly receive it. And it's waiting for you on the other side of your willingness to stop being nice and start being true. So I'm going to ask you to do something radical right now. Look at yourself with the same compassion you've been giving everyone else. Speak to yourself with the same kindness you've been offering the world. Love yourself with the same intensity you've been loving others. Because the moment you do, everything changes. The moment you choose yourself, the right people choose you too. Stop being nice. Start being real. Start being you. Your authentic life is waiting.